All right, all right. So we are back again live already. Like I told you all, I had to walk my man Lone Sav out of here and get my man Dapper Don in here so we can get our interview started. This is not his first time on the show. This is his second time being back around. He just here for the update, so we got a little bit more updated. Working on getting the screen right, and then I'm gonna get right into it. Let me tag you instead. Missing my manager. If my manager was here, we wouldn't have these difficulties. My baby at school right now. She get out shortly. So, all right, now we are live with my man Dapper Don back on the show, the Social Experiment. We'll have a conversation. Get this on the big screen. That's the wrong one. Don gonna get me. Here we go. Why did this keep? You know what? We ain't gonna worry about it. But yeah, okay. So I got my man Dapper Don on here. I'm gonna wait till I ask you a question. I'm gonna get back on there. So, like I said, this is not his first time be coming on here having this conversation with me. He's been on prior to it being named the show. You know what I mean? But I was able to get some information from him. This man is very insightful, very inspiring to me. You see his face all around the community. You see his name, see his face on buses. You know what I mean? See this man in the newspaper over at Dapper Don Styling Lounge. He got a lot of stuff going on. Feel like he got a lot of good information. He's a member of the Blue Coach. He's out here marching and stepping in the community. Um, like I believe that this man here, he's walking proof of everything that we're trying to do when it comes to building. When we talk about man building, when we talk about building relationships, when we talk about having positive conversations and productive conversations, and just being progressive. Like I look up to this man. You know, I make sure I'm in the barbershop. Me and my son go in there. We have some good talks. We have some good conversations. So I felt the need to get him back on here and invite him back on the show. So every person I ask when we jump right in, I always ask them like what made them interested in coming on the show. So I'm gonna ask you, what made you interested in coming back on for a second time to have this conversation with me?
Well, first of all, I respect you. We've worked together. We've hustled together, done some researching together, and it's the social experiment. How could I not? Why wouldn't I?
Okay. I appreciate it. Listen, I appreciate that. I really do appreciate that a lot, man. Just having you on, having conversation with you, and then like some of the things that you have going on and some of the things that you are doing, like take me through that. Like what is that like?
Oh man, it's just a constant grind. I'm always up to something. Um, where do I start?
Where-
You know what I mean? Where do I start? It's right now I'm pushing my MVP movement.
Okay, okay.
It's uh it's a most valuable parents of Erie, PA. We're just trying to reconstruct the village, trying to rebuild the village, put the village back together.
So MVP, what's that about? Because I heard somebody say something about that, and they said most valuable parent.
Yeah, most valuable parent
Okay.
of Erie. Um, um,
Yeah, get into the
we
mic a
just
little
want
bit.
to rebuild the village. It's much needed. You know, I'm a blue coat, and this movement is undergirded by the blue coats, and we're in the community constantly, all day, every day. So we see the need that to reconstruct the village.
Okay. So as far as like the parents and the parents being involved in that process, like what's your take on that? Because like I said, you're a huge advocate in the community and you working directly with some of these kids and you going in these schools. Like, what do we need from these parents? What do we need from us? Not these parents, because myself included. What do we need from us to be more involved and be more active and kind of be more part of the mission?
The parent, first and foremost, is the most important component of the movement. You know, because without the parents, then it'd be really real chaos. But what we can do is bring our voices together. We meet at the House of Prayer on 21st in Holland, first Thursday of every month. And we talk about issues that pertain to the youth, our kids, and the community that we live in. You know what I mean? We have flyers out. We dealing with jail, death, pain, suicide, violence, confusion, guns, dropout, drugs. So, with all of us coming together as parents and looking to see what can we do to uphold our side of the bed, uh, that's where it starts with a conversation.
Okay. And I mean, I know it's obvious, but why is that something? Why is that so not something that is important? Why is that so important to you?
Because I work with kids, I work with the youth, and you see what's going on with them. You know, it's a destructive spirit that's going through the community of the youth. You know, and I'm a coach, and I see firsthand the madness that's out there. You know what I mean? I see it. I come from a single parent home. I come from a home where my dad wasn't around.
Okay.
So so we see the lack of dads and the lack of parenting, you know, and what it leads to. It leads to wayward youth.
So I mean, okay. So then, kind of like when you said you grew up without, like, take if you don't mind, kind of like get through you growing up. Like, how did you grow up, and what was life like for you growing up, from you coming from where you've been to where you are today?
Well, I grew up in the inner city here in Erie,
You have
single
to get
parent,
closer to the mic.
single parent home. Um, you know, and just was a victim of the downfalls that plagued the young black males here in Erie and around the country. Um, I was subjected to. We didn't have a lot of OGs growing up.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I didn't have no uncles or old heads that was like interested in keeping us out of the street, keeping us out of harm's way, putting us on to some real game. You know what I mean? That could further us in life positively. So I fell in a lot of the pitfalls. I got in trouble. You know what I mean? I went to prison. Um, I dealt with life after prison. I dealt with struggles as a man, as a parent, a single parent, and things of that nature. So I see. I'm not talking from a position of somebody who don't know and who
Right.
can't see. I deal with parents every day that don't know, that's confused, that's lost, that are at their wits end when it comes to dealing with the whole system, school district, courthouse, things of that nature, just young boys. We deal with moms that don't know how to deal with young boys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I have moms that come to me all the time and say, "Can you talk to my son?"
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what we do. That's what I do, and that's how I live my life. You know,
Okay.
trying to be what I didn't have. You know what I mean? A role model from somebody who fell and got back up and is like moving and shaking, and
Okay.
with a positive vibe.
So then, like, I'm glad you said that, because especially when you talk about like some of these mothers who have some of these young men who have no guidance, you know what I mean? To just kind of like hop right into the conversation, like, what's your take on as far as like us as men, like building and kind of start coming together? Because I like to think of people who work in those schools or in those environments is like, you play another role as dad, and sometimes you spend more time with the kid than dad. So like, as far as like the aspect of men, like, how can we start coming, or what's the importance of us coming together and kind of settling our differences as black people in this community?
Well, first and foremost, we just got to come together and stop hating. You know what I mean? For lack of a better term,
Okay.
and just step to your brother, and ask the question. You know what I mean? Bring up the topics. You know what I mean? And just look at me as your brother. That's how I look at all of you guys. I look at everybody. We people, and that's where it starts. Man to man, we got to be men, and we got to have that conversation. I got to be able to pull you up. You got to be able to pull me up.
Right.
Minus all the emotions.
Right. So when you say that, though, like, when you kind of like, if you were to go in depth with that, like, let's say for instance, I was a man that needed pulled up, and if you had to just throw a hypothetical situation out there, like, what is something that you were relating to or referring to, and how would you go about addressing it?
I would just go about it, and straight at it. If I see, hey man, I see a perceived issue, where you might need to step up, or I feel you might need to step up based off of my past experiences.
Okay.
I should be able to confront you and pull you to the side and say, hey, listen, let's talk. Do you have a minute? Let's build. What's going on? Try to find out your background, find out what's going on with you so we can move forward. I am my brother's keeper. You know what I mean? I am. And there's no way around it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I can watch you just self-destruct. I can watch you fail, or I can try to do something to uplift you, and help you out. I study, I read, I move about the city, gathering information, to help my brother.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. And we got comments already. Said a lot of youth are dealing with a lot of mental health illness. Their actions are a result of what they are dealing with mentally. I have a deep qualms with a lot of my male clients, and they simply just want to be heard and help without judgment. Definitely need to. I can't see the rest of the comments, but yeah, absolutely. And that's why I feel like it's important. Like you said that, like I feel like it's important for us as men to have these type of conversations and have these type of talks so that we can understand better of what we're going through, and we can kind of understand how we can help each other a little bit more. You know what I mean? And like I said, starting off and introduction, like I feel like you are a strong believer in that. You are a walking proof of that. You know what I mean? Just being involved and being active. So when you say those type of things, and this is type of thing that you bring to the table, like what type of men do you surround yourself with? Or I'm not gonna say surround yourself with like hanging out every day, but what's your circle look like when it comes to having that man relationship, that bro relationship type of thing?
I like to be around men that are men that deal with intellect, that deal with that resort to their intellect more than their emotion.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If we're involved in a situation that calls for intellect, then you don't need to bring that lower self to it, that emotion, because intellect and emotion are polar opposites. You either one or the other. You in
Okay.
your feelings, you ain't in your mind.
Right.
And that's where I'd like to stay, in my intellect, in my higher self.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I like to pull that out of other guys, out of other men, by not dealing with the emotional aspect of a head fight.
Right.
There's no emotion in a head fight. This
Right.
right here, this MVP, most valuable parents, is a head fight. Only way out of that is through your head,
Right.
through thought,
Right.
constant.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So those are the type of people I like to deal with. People who start off saying I think, you know what I mean, or I thought, as opposed to, well, I feel, or I felt like. You know what I mean? That's our problem.
I love it.
As men, I think, when we start off saying, well, I feel, already we've gone left,
Right.
because we're not dealing with intellect. We have to stay there, and we have to have individuals alongside us who can prod us to say, you know, come back over here.
Right. Right.
I don't compute over there when we in a head fight.
Okay.
So
So then, like, I mean, even okay, that makes all the sense in the world to me. But when we're dealing with individuals, we're dealing with some of the men who are stubborn. You know what I mean? I know oftentimes it's like you can't help everybody, but then it's like sometimes you have to pull somebody up, and you said it yourself. Like, how do you think that we can kind of assist one another as being men and building, like, get away from the macho mentality and be open and vulnerable enough to say, I don't know and I need help, or can you teach me, or what's going on? You know what I mean?
well, I think it's the responsibility of men. Me personally, my responsibility is to be strong and to lead by example. So if I'm dealing with a stubborn brother, I just exercise patience and strength, and lead by example by demonstrating those things. And sooner or later, hopefully, the hope is that he'll join us on this side. You know what I mean? And I've seen that it works. A lot of guys and people are looking to butt heads.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But if they look to butt heads with you and there's no head there to butt with, then what?
Got it.
You know what I mean? It's going to cause a person to pause and to apply the thought factor. You know what I mean?
Man, that's deep. And then, like, I mean, for you to, you didn't just wake up like that. I'm sure, especially what you saying, like you had your trials and your tribulations and stuff like that. Like, what was the moment in your life where you felt like, okay, like this ain't for me, or this ain't it, or I need to take things to the next level, or go to like, what was the moment, and like, who played a role in that transition for you, or what if it wasn't a who?
I think it just was a lot of events that took place, that I took from. Each event I looked for the fruit in it,
Mm-hmm.
no matter if it was a bad or a good one. Like we was talking about earlier, I look at situations as the glass is half full.
Right.
No matter what, you can't make me look at the glass any other way than it's half full.
Okay.
Because if you, and I can't say it enough, continue to apply the thought factor to a situation, you'll come up. You know what I mean? You'll come up if I'm around you and you around who you be around and you feed off and we all building intellectually, then we can't be stopped.
Right.
There is an answer to the problem,
Right.
the
Right.
perceived problem anyway.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And what's interesting, right? And I know I shared this on my story this morning. I seen you put the thumbs up on it, but somebody jumped in my inbox and was like, "Listen, man, you need to watch the Spooky Shop by this door." Like I had the audio book and I'm listening, but I watched that movie and like the overall concept of it, like I understand outside of for we on for lack of nobody thinking no militia or nothing going on, but like that process and that concept was like crazy to me. Like as far as like people being able to learn something and teaching it to other people and kind of building and growing and establishing something. So like, what's your thoughts? I mean, clearly, again, like I said, everything it seems pretty obvious, but publicly speaking, like, what's your thoughts on that movie or that process as far as us teaching each other and teaching to build and grow? It was something that stood out that he said to me. A couple things, but one thing was he said the way the guerrilla warfare worked with them was everybody knew at least 3 steps up. So if I need to know the person, everybody's job 3 levels ahead of me in case something happens to one person. Everybody just moves up and we already know the job. And then also the guy pulled a gun on him and he said, "I'm more a free man than you are on the wrong end of your gun," because of the way he think and the way that he felt. So like when it comes to like building and growing and like what's your thoughts, your opinions, your feelings? I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but
When you're trying to build and grow, it's repetitious. You know what I mean? Anything you're trying to learn and implement, you have to be repetitious with it. That's like with a kid ABCs. You have to tell them over and over again, in order for them to get it. And that's just what I believe people have to be ready to go through the process of repeating yourself and being repetitious, especially when you are in a leadership position
Mm-hmm.
or in a role to say, hey, follow me. Or what do you think about this? Or you stepping out there to be the icebreaker, you know, um, just being repetitious, man, and being an information junkie.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You can't not be afraid to research. You can't be afraid to be wrong,
Right.
because there's a lesson in being wrong.
Right.
There's you're gonna be given the right, you're gonna be shown what's right.
Right.
You know what I mean? I was taking a driver's test when I was like 16. And back then they had it where if you get the wrong answer, the right answer pop up on the screen. And there was a guy sitting next to me, and he was one question ahead of me. So every one he got wrong, I got right
Right.
because the right answer popped up on the screen.
Right.
So he had to get it wrong in order for me to get it right.
Right.
And that's how it is in life.
Right.
A
Okay.
lot. You know what I mean? And that's how I like to look at it. If you went down the wrong path, or I went down the wrong path, I'm educated now. So I can tell you, don't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or I can tell you, do that,
Right.
because this is the result or the benefit I got from doing it.
Okay.
So I have a whole bunch of those. So
So then, even like when you say something like that, like from hearing that, listening to that, it's like, okay, so that means in order for you to be able to lead, you also have to be able to listen.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And a lot of us, again, as men, as black men, like it seems as though it's very difficult for us to listen. And a lot of the stuff that I've been talking about and a lot of these conversations that I've been having with some of the guys, it seems very simple for us to just really just start thriving and start growing together. But not simple, but not easy. You know what I mean? Because it's hard for us to do because a lot of people have some traumas, a lot of people have, you gotta watch for other people's with personal agendas and stuff like that. But from the conversations that I've been having, it just seems as though if we keep having these conversations and then we start putting action behind these words and drop the ego, and I'm not saying be soft or be less than, but like just start collaborating and start talking and having conversations and be willing to be wrong and learn and grow, like things would be so much better. Like, what would it look like? Like, this is probably my 10th one online since if every time you walked into a room, people was having conversations like you and I'm having this black man, like how would that make you feel if the mission was being followed the way that it should be?
It would be empowering, of course, because everybody would be on the same page and on the same wavelength, and the energy that's coming from that would be like the sun.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? If everybody was on the same page, but a lot of us need to vent. You know what I mean? A lot of guys, a lot of men, they just need to vent, and a lot of teachers or educators need to be able to listen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because in the vent there's education. You know, if I can't help you or you can't help me if you don't know what's going on.
Right.
You know, I might not be able to tell you outright what's going on, but in my vent, if you listening, it's there.
Right.
You know, I might not even know, but I might just be venting. But you know, and you can hear in my vent and point out my issues. That's my brother.
Right.
You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? It don't matter if you older or younger than me. If you can listen to me and you're educated and you have a vast amount of information, you know what I mean? Then you can help lead me out of darkness.
Right. And then it's like, and then when you say that again, like I said, it's simple stuff, but it's like the ability to be vulnerable. You know what I mean? To be able to say, like, listen, man, I'm having a rough day. And I was talking to somebody last night, and it's just like, he said he has people around him to where he can vent and say, I'm going through this or I'm going through that. And he got a team of people who will come pray with him or talk to him or people checking up on him and stuff like that. So it's very important, I think, to hear you say that. You know what I mean? And is that something, or do you practice that? Is that something that you practice?
Absolutely. Us as blue coats, we practice that. You know, we practice wellness checks.
Okay.
You know, we do that. We send wellness checks out, and we a lot of times when we come in each other's presence, we not about to do nothing until everybody has given an assessment on their situation, on their mental.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Because we can't proceed with a mental block. You know what I mean? We can't. Everybody got to be on the same page. And if you got some stuff with you, then you got to be able to be around your brothers and say, this is what it is.
Right.
Without feeling like, oh, somebody's going to so-called judge me.
Right.
You know, in a negative way. You know, but you can't come to me and offend me.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
With my problems.
No, not only with your problems, but with anything that you say.
Okay.
You know what I mean? If you see an issue with something I'm doing, it's a perceived issue.
Right.
And I want you to be able to be comfortable enough to be able to address it. You know what I'm saying? Because you could be wrong.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's why I say it's a perceived issue. A lot of us have perceived issues, and then we step to our brother and we be like, oh, that ain't that. We see that a lot.
Right.
It's a misunderstanding.
Right.
But if you would have came a different way, like say, brother, you know, can I holler at you for a minute?
Mm-hmm.
Or let's talk. How you doing? You sure you good? You need anything?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Stuff like that amongst men is definitely needed. I try not to walk past men. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Black men and not say nothing.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times they say stuff back. A lot of times they don't.
Right.
But when you get me, that's what you're going to get. I greeted you. I saluted you as, you know, for who you are.
Right.
And for what you are.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, you know, it's about just being approachable.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I can be approachable without feeling weak. It don't make me weak to say, what's up, bro? How
right.
you doing?
Right.
You good?
Right.
We ain't soft. Ain't trying to be, you know what I mean? Whatever adjective they put on it.
Right. Were you ever that way before?
Oh yeah.
Were you like walking around with the mean mug and didn't want to say hi to nobody and don't nobody talk to me type of thing?
You know, that's just a shield or something that we hide behind.
Right.
You know what I mean? You want to keep it 100. That's something that we hide behind because our faces look like they look anyway for a reason.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
It's just a reflection of what we've been through as
right.
people. So I don't worry about too much like that. I just keep it pushing and try to be that guy. Whereas if my brother wants to holler at me, he can. Okay. You know what I mean? I don't worry about people's faces and how they look and he look aggressive at me. I don't. Right. I know us.
Right.
I've been around.
Right.
Yeah, I don't consider that.
Okay. So then you got the Stalin Lounge over there, like kind of like take me, and again, I know we highlighted some of this stuff, but for the people who haven't seen, like what was that like for you? Like what inspired that movement and what made you feel like, you know what, I'm doing my own thing and I'm being my own boss. I'm calling the shots now.
I was at work one day. I was working and and my supervisor, he was talking to me about a job I was doing, which it's an easy job.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's a non-conversation job. You know, and I was to the point where I was fed up. And change happens when you fed up.
Mm-hmm.
Dissatisfaction brings about change. So he was talking to me, and he wasn't being he was just being a supervisor.
Right.
You know, but it rubbed me the wrong way. And I said, you know, I can't do this. You know, I wanted to go on vacation for something, and they shot it down. And I said, you know, I'm not that guy. That ain't me.
Right.
I don't get shot down.
Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
I don't feel like I have to get your permission. I have a family I'm responsible for. You know what I mean? So layoffs came 6 months later. I was getting laid off, and so I had 6 months. So I said, you know, what am I good at? I asked the man in the mirror, you know, what are you good at?
Mm-hmm.
Because this is not working. It's not gonna work. When the layoffs came, I said to myself, I'll never fill out another application. Never. You know, I have skills. I have a mind, a brain.
Mm-hmm.
You can do it. I can do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, I was a barber. I have barbering skills. So I said, you know, that's what I'm about to do. That's the direction I'm going in. And that's what I did.
Mm-hmm.
I sought out, I started researching because I wasn't sure. I don't have a college degree or education or nothing like that. So I started linking up with people that I met over the years, you know, that I seen that wanted to help me
Right.
and had my best interest at heart and wanted to see me win. Start going back through over, you know, emails and things and found some people and linked up with them and just asked them questions outright. Listen, this is what I'm trying to do and I don't know nothing about it.
Right.
You know what I mean? They say that we are minorities and they have things available for minorities, which I had never looked into.
Right.
So I said, well, let's see what's up.
Right.
You know, I start calling and people start pointing me in the directions, and then I got pointed in the direction of Bridgeway
Uh-huh.
Capital,
Right.
and I, you know, went over there, talked to um, Mr. King was over there, and real cool dude. Just listened to me like me and you talking,
Uh-huh.
you know, and he told me what I needed to do, and I did it, and they played ball with me.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean? I did exactly what they said do.
Right. And it's right after because but real quick, that's I wanted to insert that is because like a lot of us don't do that. We feel like, oh, you're giving me the runaround and we don't follow the steps. Like somebody's like, go talk to this person, that person, that person. And people don't realize sometimes you asking for favors and you ask for money. So if they're telling you to call these numbers or send these emails, you got to do it.
Do it.
But go ahead. Go ahead.
He gave me a list of things that I needed to do. He sent me to another lady. She gave me a list of things that I needed to do credit wise. It took me a year to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I came back to the lady, she was at a bank. I came back to her and she said, she came from around her desk and she said, people never come back.
Mm-hmm.
She just was like, nobody never comes back, but you came back. And it's Dapper Don Style Lounge after that.
Right.
You know what I mean? I sat back and put that together in my head, put it together, looked at all the artwork I wanted on it, put it together, and just came out with it.
Okay.
You know, and kept going after that and started telling people, my brothers, sisters, anybody that'll listen at this, hey, it'll work if you work it.
Right.
That's cliche, but it's on point.
Right. Right. So then when you get like even before you get into the aspect of like Dapper Don, like what did that drive and that ambition and just like that vulnerability do for you as far as like meeting people and knowing people? Like what type of currency kind of flew in once you was able to just say, you know what, I need some help and follow the steps and took the help that you received?
The currency that flowed in was the information currency.
Mm-hmm.
The currency of information. That's priceless.
Right.
You know, knowing the right thing to do and knowing where you at on the board.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And if you don't have any information, you don't have any knowledge about what you're doing, then you're gonna be stuck. You know, and I found myself stuck often
Mm-hmm.
only because I didn't have the information.
Right.
And once I got the information, I was unstuck. You know what I mean? And I'm off to the next situation to where I get stuck. And then I need information more, so I have to pause. I get the information, and then I follow the steps that I got from the information. I'm unstuck.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And that's where I see we get stuck at, is when they say here, it don't go your way. If it's not going your way, you need more information.
There you go.
You know what I mean? You got to up the ante on your information, because that's the only thing that I see stops us, is the lack of information, not the lack of money.
Right.
Some people, my brothers, be saying, "Oh man, I'm about to stack my dough." That ain't it, bro.
Right.
That's all fine and dandy and good. Been there, done that. But once the dough stacked, if you don't have no information, you just gonna have stacked dough.
Exactly.
That's
Exactly.
it. You know what I mean? So it's about the information, and it's about putting it out there, receiving it, never being afraid to get it, always going after it.
Okay.
Especially when it pertains to what you're interested in, what you're trying to do.
Okay. So then we get to the point, we got the Dapper Don Style and Lounge open up. So now we see you in the Bridgeway Capitol. We see you on this. I seen you on the side of the bus, man. I was riding one day, and I'm like, what? Like, what is that, man? And listen, if they put me on the side of a bus, I'm gonna be super excited. I ain't gonna hold you. I might follow the bus around for a day. Like, how did that make you feel? What was that like for you? Just your advertisement, like it's like a multiple advertisement, but it's still you.
It, to me right now, it like really hasn't set in because I be so busy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I be so busy, and when I looked up and saw that, I was having dinner with my wife, and somebody sent it to me. My
Mm-hmm.
bus driver client, one of my clients that drive bus, was like, "Yo, I got on the bus, and at the side of my bus, this was on there."
Hold on, wait. So the person, your client, was driving the bus with your picture on the side of it.
And he took a picture and sent it to me, and I was like, "Wow!" And I remember doing the interview for the picture, and them talking to me about it, and me agreeing with it, but then I just stayed on my grind, put my nose back to the grinding stone, and that's just me modeling the possibility.
Right.
That's all for somebody else that's looking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
They can say, "Hey, how did you do that?" Or how was that? And I can say I didn't do nothing but research and keep my nose to the grinding stone and do what I know how to do.
Right.
And other people took notice.
Mm-hmm.
They took notice and contacted me and said, "Hey, we want to put you on a bus."
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
I didn't go to them and say, "Hey, yeah, you think I can?" So hard work pay off.
Right.
The grind pay off. If you grinding and you doing what you're supposed to do when your ducks is in a row, stuff like that happens.
So when do you celebrate your wins then? You specifically, not overall us, like you.
That's the question that my wife asks me all the time.
Oh man.
I celebrate my wins when I get up in the morning and I can, and I'm free to think how I want to think, do what I want to do, and see my kids shining and happy, and able to live without worry.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's me celebrating.
I mean, I agree with
doing this.
I agree with you there, and that sounds like the politically correct answer. But I honestly want to know, like, have you? And maybe you haven't celebrated or anything, but like, literally, just sit back. And I've been asking a lot of people this because me myself personally, I haven't done them. Like one day, somebody told me to write out my resume and write out some of my accolades, but literally to just sit back and realize that, like, how many children do you have?
10.
You have 10 children, or children. Your children alive and well. Yep. Children alive, you alive and well. You married man. You have a business. You got commercials. You know what I mean. You're on the side of the bus, and then I know you got some other plans. You on the blue coach, you in the school, like you doing all of these great things. Like, when do you actually just, like you said, have that conversation with the man? Because you can't always just have to talk to the man in the mirror and say, "Hey, do better. Hey, work harder. Hey, grind." Like, when do you have that conversation with the man in the mirror, look at him and be like, "You know what? You're doing a pretty damn good job, man. Like, you the man. Like, you doing this, you doing that." Like,
honestly, I don't ever do that.
What?
I don't do that because my work is not done. You know what I mean? That's it's not done yet.
Right. So you don't think you need to celebrate yourself?
No. If any celebrating, other people do it.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I don't do that. I don't even take no thought of it for real.
Oh man.
I just grind.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I go after what I need to go after so that when my brothers step to me or anybody, I can have some type of input.
Right.
In the construction of something positive.
Right.
If you saying, we doing the social experiment, I want to pour into that.
Right.
How can I support that? How can I be a pillar in that?
Okay.
How can I help that?
Okay.
You know what I mean? This right here, this podcast studio, how can I be a part of making this bigger?
Right.
You know what I mean? I'm an asset.
Uh-huh.
I've spent a lot of time turning myself into an asset.
Okay.
Something that somebody can plug into and be energized
Right.
and get some power and lead. When we separate, you should be able to be uplifted or edified, or there should be something on your mind that cause you to say, "Oh man, I need to tighten my game up."
Right.
I leave situations like that.
Right.
Like, wow, okay, I gotta tighten up.
So when you surround yourself with people like that, what do you think of those people?
I think of those people as tools, as pumice stones.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Intended it there to make me sharper.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's rough. I like when guys talk rough.
Mm-hmm.
I talk rough. You know what I mean? I talk straight. I don't have time to consider emotions and feelings when I'm dealing with a man
Mm-hmm.
in a war zone.
Right.
You know what I mean? Oh,
Right.
if I say this, is this gonna hurt his feelings?
Right.
That's not in my thought process.
Right.
You know, that's not in my thought process, and there's no malice there.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking.
Right.
We need to get this done.
Right. Intentionally.
This is what needs to be done, and here's when it needs to be done by.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're both grinders. We both understand that.
Right.
Where's the emotion in that?
Right.
It's not necessary.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So that's where I'm at with it, trying to stay there and show the brothers that you can be a man and an intellectual man.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to deal with feelings all the time and be flipping out and yelling.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Men don't do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? We embrace wits.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Sit down and figure it out and come up with a
Get
solution.
it together, man.
Okay.
A lot of people think we have problems, but a problem is only a problem, I've learned, when you don't have a solution to it.
Right.
But if you
Right.
have a solution to it, it's not a problem.
Right.
Oh man, I got a car note or a bill to pay it, and I got the money. That's not a problem.
Right. Right.
The problem when I don't have the funds. To take care of
Right.
it.
Right. Now I got to figure out something to
Right.
make it happen. But like, and I hear it, like, and I think like just from hearing you say that and hearing that, like the way that you present all of that, like I definitely feel like you need to be celebrated. We gotta have to figure out a way to something we can do to like kind of celebrate you and you know what I mean and kind of highlight you. And that's exactly why I'm doing this, because like a lot of the stuff that you're saying is it doesn't, we as men, we don't do. We aren't straightforward with each other all the time, and we don't talk to each other all the time, and we don't have those type of conversations. But then I also feel like, and I'm guilty of this too, and I'm starting to learn to do it, like is take my own flowers and acknowledge myself for some of the things that I am doing, because then it's making me feel good about the progress that I'm making and wants me to once I want to continue to strive to keep going. You know what I mean? I'm a self-motivated person, and I know it's very difficult for us to just acknowledge ourselves. And that's why I want to do this as well. Like I said, I'm highlighting different men, in the community. And like I said, like just I said the last time when I came into your shop and I seen, you had the order on the wall, you know what I mean? And it was just different little things I seen hanging up. And it's just like, this is the type of place I want to be, or this type of person I want to be around, because it's no drama in here, no mess. It's always good conversation. It's a good vibe, man. And like, you are a good dude, man. We definitely, we gotta celebrate you, man, and we gotta, let you know how important you are to us, so that you can keep going. And like you said, you're doing it for a reason, and I feel like the reason why you were doing it is actually happening. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you for everything that you're doing. You know what I mean? And then even just like wanting to continue to thrive and continue to grow. So when we talk about that, like, so we got the blue coat. So like you got the Dapper Don Style Lounge, you got the blue coats going on. Like, is that where you at? Like, what you expanding on things? You growing things? Like, what's the next progress step for you without giving away too much information?
The progress for me right now is just dealing with the youth in the community and the parents, trying to get them together. That's my whole thing right now.
Okay.
Because I see it's real serious. And I can't talk about the reconstruction of the village and the MVP. I can't talk about it enough.
Right.
Because I work in it on a daily basis.
Okay.
And I see the issues. I see mothers coming in the schools and the courthouses screaming, because they're at their wits' end and they don't understand or know that there's a process that you can go to get your questions answered or to get heard. And the best way is by bringing your voice and combining your voice with the voices of many.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
A loud voice, one loud voice saying the same thing. You know what I mean? All of the parents coming together, taking responsibility and taking back the village.
Right.
And the community,
right.
taking it back, just being responsible. Some of us don't know how to be responsible. What does that mean?
Right.
To be responsible.
Right.
Some of us have children that are close in age with ourselves. And so when they grow up, they're growing up like friends instead of mom and son, or you know what I mean? and that's what we see a lot.
Absolutely.
So this is about educating. I'm trying to educate, and I'm trying to be educated.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Right.
We don't know what each other goes through, but if we're there to listen and build the village, we can find out and we can help each other stop the madness. Stop the coming and going different places and cussing everybody out. Let's come together intellectually,
Mm-hmm.
and that's how we gonna make a difference. Is
Well,
by an intellectual gathering.
I agree. I agree. And then I also think it's important for us to start coming there because it could turn into so many different things. Because a lot of us, like, we in different times of our lives, but like a lot of us didn't know like how to be parents. A lot of us didn't know what to do, and some of our parents didn't know how to be parents. But there are some people who are doing good at being parents, and there are some people who are doing poor at being parents. And we'll criticize the ones who are doing poor, and we'll praise the ones that are doing good instead of putting all of those people in the same room, so that way some can lead and some can learn. So like I love the idea, and I hope that people are interested and willing to be vulnerable enough to come to some of these gatherings and kind of and talk about some of these things that are going on, so then that way they can make some changes and we can kind of work together collectively to make things grow and to make things build. But like, so I definitely love the initiative, you know what I mean? And that sounds like a great thing. And like I've been part of the community meetings, and I've been in places where I've had to advocate and speak up. So I think more people need to get involved. Like I appreciate the Blue Coast for putting this initiative together. I appreciate you for being a strong voice and a strong advocate about it. And then when we get things going and we start get the ball rolling, like what do we want it to look like? Do you want that place to be packed every week with parents? Do you want parents standing on corners? Like, what's the kind of like give us a little highlight of why people should come? Because we see flyers on Facebook and a lot of people are like, oh, well, here's another one. But now we got you here to talk about it. And I feel like you definitely are somebody I will follow. So kind of give the people a little bit more information on why this is something that we need to be doing.
We need MVPs from one end of the city to the other one, because that's the only way we can take it back. You know what I mean? That's the only way we can say the kids, save these little boys and girls that we love. Your son, your daughters, mine, my grandkids. This has to happen in order to secure a future, a brighter future for them.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And to take the young parents, myself, you, and just educate us constantly so that we can educate constantly. If they see you doing your thing, it's natural for people to want to mimic that.
Mm-hmm.
Mimicking is popping nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
You know what
Yeah,
I
it
mean?
definitely is. It definitely is.
And if they see how cool you are and what you're doing and what I'm doing, then they want to be a part of it. And this is touching the whole city. Where can a kid go and act out?
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you.
Where can they go and act out? If I can say something to your son, like you can say something to mine, as opposed to you saying, don't say nothing to my kid.
Mm-hmm.
If I have the ability to tell your son to stop and he stopped, that means I can save his life
Right.
if you're not around.
Right.
You got a lot of these young boys that say, I don't care, shoot me, kill me. But if I'm there to say, nah, physically, you get out of here.
Right.
You're not finna run up on him. He got a gun or a knife.
Right.
You would appreciate me for that.
Exactly.
I just saved him.
Exactly.
And because he's not in his right mind. He's in his lower self, his emotions,
Right.
and he's about to self-destruct. You know what I mean? Your attitude is not, don't say nothing to my son. Your
Right.
attitude is MVP. We're united. We're together.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that.
Right.
I got your son best interest
Right.
at heart. I'm you when you ain't around.
Right.
You know what I mean? And if we had that all around the city, it goes back to like it was back in the day.
Mm-hmm. Why is that such a hard concept to sell?
Because I see
Is
a
it
lot
fear? Is it timidity? You think it's like the age thing? Like, what do you think it is?
it's just rebelliousness.
Mm-hmm.
I would never tell you don't say nothing to my son,
Mm-hmm.
another black man.
Mm-hmm.
Or you know what I mean? I see a lot of women saying that to a lot of men. Don't say nothing to my son, or let him go, or let her go.
Mm-hmm.
But now you rolling around on the ground screaming because they done.
Right.
Or you in the courthouse or calling one of the blue coats or one of these community members to come and testify in court or speak on your behalf. But you said don't say nothing to him.
Right.
You know what I mean? So what are we doing here? Can we conversate? Can we talk now?
Right.
You know what I mean? We've seen too many. We lost too many.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because can't nobody say nothing to your son or your daughter. You
I
know what I
agree.
mean? Come on, man. And if we come together with as an MVP, that's what makes you most valuable because you understand that it takes a village.
Right.
You understand that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the whole if the whole city is a village, how can your son be wayward?
Right.
How?
Right.
Ain't nobody nowhere standing for it.
Mm-hmm.
But you have those who uplift it and promote it.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know them, you know them, who promote madness.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's like it's interesting that you say that, like, because like, and I don't dip too much into it, but it was some stuff that was going on Facebook and it was getting all kind of shares and it was getting all kind of comments and all kind of likes about like a negative situation that took place, and we talking about kids. But then you got some people who are doing some positive things, and it's like we don't like to shed light on that too much. And it's like literally this type of stuff can help us from not having to worry about our children popping up in somebody's TikTok video or YouTube video doing something they ain't got no business doing. Or if it's 4 kids in my house and all 4 of their parents call me, like I know where they at, I know what they doing, everybody knows what's going on. They know to be respectful down there because those lines of communication are open. You know what I mean? Like I definitely understand the concept. It's very simple, but very difficult because you have to tap into the minds of people to get them to, which is crazy to me to understand that we just want to help save some lives and change some lives and kind of work collectively to come together. Especially when you think about some of the stuff that's on the flyer, like it's saying like jail, death, pain, suicide, violence, confusion, guns, dropout, drugs. You know what I mean? Those are all things that we struggle with within our community. And if you have somebody saying, "Hey, let me help you,"
Navigate.
why would you not take the help?
Why?
You know what I mean?
That speaks to psychological.
Yeah, it makes too much sense. You know what I mean? Because again, you see some of these young guys out here, man, they doing some of the stuff, some crazy stuff, and then it's certain moms. It's like I don't even know what to do with them. Like just come here, just come tell us, just come in a room where a bunch of other people are saying I don't know what to do with my son, and then let some people who are listening be like, well, you know what? If you allow us to step in and have a conversation and build that relationship.
Well, here's a suggestion. Here's what I tried, and it worked.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Things along that line. It starts, like we said, with a conversation. You have to be willing to conversate. You have to be willing to acknowledge that you don't know. You know what I mean? That's where it's going to start. Your growth will start when you acknowledge that you don't know.
Exactly, man. And like I said, man, I definitely appreciate the initiative. I appreciate the effort. Like I appreciate all that you got going on, everything that you do. I'm not gonna keep you on here too much longer. You know, we got a lot of your story from the first time, and I'm gonna upload that video on here. You know, and I know you got some things going on, but I want everybody to make sure anybody who's watching, who's paying attention, we have the MVP, the most valuable parent program they have going on at the House of Prayer at 155 East 21st Street. It's from 5 to 6 p.m. the first Thursday of every month.
Yep.
You know, you come in
1
there.
hour.
Excuse me.
1
1
hour.
hour, yes, 1 hour, 1 hour session. So you come in there, you talk about some of your concerns. Let's kind of build. Let's collaborate. Let's start gaining a better understanding of our children. I appreciate you for being a pillar in the community. I appreciate you for spreading the positivity and wanting to help change, wanting to help build, wanting to help grow. It's not a lot of men like you, man. And like I was saying to you before, like you need to be celebrated. Maybe now is not the time for you, but you need to be celebrated. You need to be acknowledged, and people need to tell you you're doing a good job. More people need to follow your lead. We need more leaders like you. We need more people following you. You know what I mean? And I know you got some business endeavors going on. I can't wait to see you at the top, man, and see you on billboards and more buses and all of that stuff, man. Like it's big things happening for you. It's going to be a lot of great things going on in your world, and I appreciate you coming on here to talk to me and to use this platform to share your voice, because what I want people to see is men in our city, in our community, who are doing good things in the event we do need help. Somebody who's saying, "Hey, I can talk to you. Hey, I'm willing to assist you." So I'm gonna continue to build this platform and build this channel and keep growing. I appreciate you coming on not once but twice. And like right now, I'm gonna give you an opportunity. If you got anything else you want to say, if we left anything left out, if we left anything out, or you got any questions for me, I'm gonna give you the time to go ahead and do that before we kind of wrap things up.
I don't have anything. Just MVP. Think about it. Consider it because consider it before it's too late. You
Yeah,
know, you have sons, you have daughters, we have able bodies, we have people that you can talk to, we have people that have ideas, great ideas. Um, Come through, link up. You see me everywhere. I'll be at the barber shop. I'll be at the schools in the mornings, after schools, you can see me anywhere. I'll be around. Pull up.
All right, man. Well, thank you. Like I said, we're gonna wrap
Thank you
this
for
thing
having
up.
me, bro.
But absolutely, I appreciate you for coming back. We got another episode later on tonight. I got my man Anthony Easterly coming on here at 6 p.m. So we're gonna have a great conversation. Make sure y'all check out my man at Dapper Don Style and Lounge. Which the address is 2527 Peach Street, right on the corner up there. Make sure y'all go through, get styled up. Again, I appreciate your time. We're gonna end it here. We're gonna leave it here. If you have any questions or anything you want to, reach out to me on Facebook. But like my daughter told me to tell y'all, make sure that you like, you subscribe to the channel, turn on your notifications for anytime we go live. You'll be alerted and aware. So y'all have a good rest of y'all day. I will see y'all at 6 o'clock. For anybody who's interested and continue to hear my voice and see my face. For anybody else, y'all take care and have a good one.